and welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. We're at the World Economic Forum's India Economic Summit, bringing to you some of the big global voices on the channel. Joining us today is a man who is familiar with India and has been a long-term India investor, John Rice of GE. John, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. It's good to have you back on the show. Let me start by asking you about the strength of the India story. A lot of the businesses that GE has invested in India are looking better today, whether it's the locomotive business or it's the infrastructure sector, or perhaps to some degree even oil and gas, because at least you've got two orders that you need to take forward. But on the whole, how does India stack up for GE today?
We're encouraged by what we see. The Modi government is, I think, starting to make progress on some real reform. We've seen the actions that are contemplated with the GST reform. We think it's important to follow through on that. Make India and things that have happened in the context of Make India are very important to us. And as you said, our businesses are gaining and getting traction, and so we're optimistic about India. You know,
the last time that you were here, you said that Make in India is a good policy, but for Make in India to be really successful, it should encourage investors to export out of India. And you believe that there should be export-led incentives that should be given to investors. You export, what, about 50% that you make here at your facilities in India to the rest of the world. What will it take for you to be able to do more?
Well, we have to provide capable workers, right? So it's part of this is on us to put the processes in and develop the human skills necessary to do this. Government obviously can support that. One thing that we've recommended is the establishment of an export credit agency. There are 50 countries in the world that have export credit banks they use to support export-led business from their countries. And we think India should be one of those.
You also previously said, and I think this was January earlier this year, that the cost of doing business continues to be intimidating in India. We're here at the World Economic Forum's India Economic Summit, and the WEF has upgraded India 16 places to 39 on the competitiveness index. Are you seeing that play out on the ground? Is the cost of doing business still intimidating, or as intimidating as it was?
Better. No question that the frictional costs, moving goods around, the GST proposal that we talked about before, are all going to help India continue to progress. And I think that should be the point. Lots of progress, but at the end of the day, this is a global competition. And the competition is with China, with Indonesia, with countries around the world. The key to this over the long run is productivity. So productivity for India to continue on its path and deliver 7 or 8% GDP growth rate for a long time, you have to have a workforce and skill set that allows you to be more productive every day.
So since we're talking about relative performance, both in terms of investments and in terms of growth, how would India stack up against China, for instance, today, or some of the other emerging and growth markets for GE?
Well, if you look at the last 25 years, you know, China is, although we all feel like the last few years, and the Modi administration is going to change that, basic things like infrastructure. There are really a relative handful of people in China that don't have access to electricity. There are several hundred million people in India that don't have access to electricity. It's hard to imagine those people becoming part of a productive workforce if there's no electricity for them. So basic infrastructure still needs to be built out, and I think if India does that, there's no reason to think that the competition between India and China can't become more robust.
So just in terms of the growth that you're seeing across your businesses here in India, you know, give me a short-term outlook in terms of, do you expect strong double-digit growth? Where do you see revenues over the next 5 years? So, for instance, by 2020, what will be the size of the India business, given the opportunities you see today? Well,
we'd like to think that we can grow here at significant single-digit to double-digit rates. If the economy is growing at 6 or 7%, and we're in basic infrastructure businesses, we think our growth rate over time should be a multiple of that, a 1 or 1.5 times that rate. We have long cycle businesses, so in aviation and transportation, where we book a multi-billion-dollar locomotive deal 1 year, we don't repeat that next year or the year after. So you have to measure this over time, but certainly an ability to grow at significant single-digit rates or maybe low double-digit rates is not beyond our expectation.
Incremental investments, what is the outlook? What is the expectation for India specifically?
Well, we're working on phase 2 of the manufacturing investments that we've made in Pune, so that's now a $200 million investment. The rail investment that we announced last year is a $300 million investment. So the two of those together, $500 million to create state-of-the-art manufacturing systems and the ecosystems that go with that. So that investment includes training and skill building and supplier development. So it's a lot more than just the jobs that fit under the roof, our jobs that fit under the roof of the plant.
On that note, it's time for us to take a break, but when we return, we continue our conversation with the Vice Chairman of GE, John Rice.